Okay, so have you heard about like these cursed rosaries?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, right?
Sounds a little spooky.
It sounds like something straight out of, a movie.
Right.
But I know you're, someone with strong faith. So I figured this was worth a deep dive.
Yeah.
We've got a few Catholic news sources here.
Okay.
Mainly from the Philippines.
Okay.
And also a Q&A from Catholic.com that kind of tackles this head on.
Gotcha.
So should we be worried?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's the truth and what does the church advise?
I think the best way to approach this is look at the claims,
Right.
understand the theological context,
Mhm.
and then we'll see what practical steps we can take as faithful Catholics.
Okay, great. So this first source here from CBCP News in the Philippines is a bit unnerving.
Okay.
A priest who's an exorcist in the Diocese of Novaliches is warning about these satanic rosaries.
Oh, wow.
He claims they're being spread by the Illuminati,
Okay.
consecrated to evil, and could even cause hauntings in homes.
So it's interesting how this kind of taps into a broader idea of objects holding negative energy, which you see in a variety of occult practices,
Right.
theologically speaking.
Yeah.
Is there any basis for concern here?
Yeah.
I think that's a question a lot of people are asking.
And it gets even more unsettling because this priest mentions that these rosaries often have hidden symbols.
Okay.
Snakes,
Yeah.
pentagrams, sun rays, things that aren't immediately obvious.
Right.
They even found one where the symbol only showed up when they adjusted the image levels on a computer.
Really?
So how would anyone even know?
That's what's so tricky about it.
Yeah.
It plays on our sense of the unknown.
Right.
But I think we also have to consider the power of suggestion. If you're already afraid or worried that a rosary is cursed, you might start interpreting any little imperfection as a satanic symbol.
Oh, yeah.
Fear can really distort our perceptions.
Right. It can definitely play tricks on you. Both CBCP News and the Philippine News Agency mentioned this case where supposedly a cursed rosary caused some serious disturbances in a family's house.
Oh, wow.
Like actual paranormal activity.
Like what kind of disturbances are we talking about?
Well, they don't really go into detail.
Okay.
But from a theological standpoint, is there any way to reconcile that with our faith?
Well, the church doesn't shy away from the reality of spiritual warfare,
Right.
the battle between good and evil, but it also calls for discernment.
Yeah.
We can't just jump to conclusions.
Right.
The church wants us to rely on the guidance of priests,
Yeah.
especially those trained in spiritual warfare, to assess these situations.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this right now.
Right.
And they're thinking, oh no, what if my rosary is one of these cursed ones?
Yeah.
What should they do?
Well, The Exorcist in the CBCP article suggests that priests perform certain rituals, even exorcisms on suspicious religious items.
Whoa.
Especially if there has been paranormal activity.
Exorcisms, huh? That
Yeah.
sounds pretty intense.
It is a serious matter.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for us to understand the difference between a simple blessing and a full-blown exorcism.
Okay, yeah, what is that?
A blessing is invoking God's favor and protection on something,
Okay.
whereas an exorcism is a specific ritual
Right.
performed by a priest who has the authority of the church
Right.
to expel demonic influence.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not something to be undertaken lightly.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
This is all a bit unsettling, to be honest.
Yeah.
But thankfully, our source from Catholic.com offers some reassurance
Okay.
for those who might be worried.
Yeah, what do they say?
Well, they emphasize that if you got your rosary from a reputable source,
Okay.
like a Catholic bookstore,
Right.
and you've had it blessed by a priest, you're most likely fine.
Okay, good.
So that's a relief to hear.
Yeah.
But why is that blessing so important in our faith? What does it actually do?
Well, in Catholicism, we have what we call sacramentals.
Right.
Rosaries, medals, holy water. These are physical objects that can help us grow in holiness and connect with God.
Right.
Blessing them sets them apart for sacred use.
Okay.
It's about invoking God's grace upon them.
So it's not just about warding off evil,
Right.
but about inviting God's presence into our lives through these objects.
Exactly. The blessing imbues the sacramental with a spiritual power that can help support our prayer and devotion.
Okay.
It's like a channel for God's grace.
Now, both CBCP News and the Philippine News Agency bring up something else.
Okay.
These Masonic medals
Okay.
that look like the miraculous medal, but have this compass symbol
Right.
representing the Freemasons.
Yeah.
They say that the Masons are anti-Christian.
Okay.
Now, isn't this a separate issue from demonic influence?
Yeah, you're right to point that out.
Okay.
It is distinct, but there's a connection.
Okay.
Historically, the church has had reservations about Freemasonry,
Mm-hmm.
particularly its secrecy
Right.
and beliefs that could lead people away from the Catholic faith.
Okay.
While not inherently demonic,
Right.
Masonic symbols are seen as representing a different spiritual path,
Okay.
one that could conflict with Catholic teachings.
So it's not about demonizing the Masons.
Right.
But more about upholding the integrity of our faith.
Yeah.
And avoiding anything that might lead us astray.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it all comes back to discernment, which is a key theme in all of these sources.
Right.
How should a devout Catholic approach these potentially cursed items?
Yeah.
We don't want to live in fear,
Right.
but we don't want to be naive either.
Right. Where's the balance?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you've hit on like a crucial point.
Right.
It's about finding that balance between faith and reason.
Right.
We should be aware of potential spiritual dangers, but not let fear consume us.
Yeah.
Trusting God's protection is paramount.
So what are some red flags to watch out for?
Yeah.
And what should we actually do if we encounter something that seems off?
First and foremost, be cautious about religious items
Okay.
from unknown or questionable sources.
Right.
Stick to reputable Catholic stores or sources that you trust,
Okay.
and then examine the item carefully.
Okay.
Are there any unusual or unsettling symbols?
What?
And if something just feels wrong, it's best to err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
You
What if we already have a rosary or another religious item that we're a bit worried about now?
If you have any doubts, consult your parish priest.
Okay.
They can offer guidance, bless the item,
Okay.
or even perform an exorcism if necessary.
Right. Okay.
Remember, priests have the authority and training to deal with these matters.
Okay. So trust your gut.
Yeah.
Be discerning, and don't hesitate to reach out to a priest if we have any concerns.
Yeah.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly.
So this whole conversation has really been eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
I think the takeaway here is that we don't need to be constantly looking over our shoulder for cursed objects.
I agree.
Right.
Awareness and discernment are key. Getting items from trusted sources and having them blessed provides peace of mind.
Right.
But this brings us to a deeper question,
Okay.
and one that's particularly relevant to someone of strong faith, like yourself.
Okay.
What role does our own faith and intention play when we use sacramentals? Does fear create a vulnerability, or does faith offer protection?
Wow, that's a really profound question.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the power of our own beliefs
Right.
and how they can shape our experiences.
Absolutely.
Right.
Our faith can be a source of immense strength and protection, but fear can also make us more susceptible to negative influences.
Oh, yeah.
It's a delicate balance. Yeah.
This deep dive has definitely given us a lot to think about.
For sure.
It's made me appreciate the importance of discernment and relying on the guidance of the church. I mean, at the end of the day, our faith is our greatest shield, right?
Well said.
Yeah.
And the rosary, when used with genuine faith and devotion, is such a powerful tool for prayer and spiritual growth.
Right.
Let's not let fear overshadow the beauty and grace it can bring into our lives.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So to anyone listening, what we've discussed today should empower you, not scare you.
Right.
If you're feeling a bit uneasy about your sacramentals, have them blessed by your priest, connect with your faith, and remember that God's grace is always with you.
Beautifully put. This conversation has reminded me of a story from my own life. Years ago, I had this beautiful antique rosary passed down from my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
I treasured it,
Yeah.
but always kind of felt this strange unease when I prayed with it.
Really? What did you do?
Well, I initially just dismissed it as my imagination, but the feeling persisted.
Yeah.
Finally, I just talked to my priest about it,
Okay.
and he listened very patiently and then suggested I have it blessed.
Okay. Did that help?
It did.
Oh, right.
It wasn't like this sudden shift or anything,
Right.
but the unease gradually faded.
Okay.
And it made me realize the importance of just acknowledging those feelings,
Yeah.
no matter how small they are,
Right.
and seeking guidance when needed.
Yeah. That's such a powerful reminder. It speaks to that balance of faith and reason that we talked about.
Right.
Sometimes we just need that tangible act of blessing to reinforce our faith.
Yeah.
and put our minds at ease.
Exactly. And it's not about superstition.
Right.
It's about recognizing the spiritual reality that surrounds us
Mm-hmm.
and utilizing the tools the church provides to navigate it.
Right. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. I
Yeah.
think we've covered so much ground,
We have.
from the claims of cursed rosaries to the church's stance on spiritual warfare and the importance of discernment.
Yeah. And the power of sacramentals
Right.
and the role of our own faith and intention in using them.
Yeah. Thinking back to your initial question, do we need to worry about cursed rosaries?
Right.
I'd say worry is not the answer.
I agree.
Right.
Awareness, yes. Discernment, absolutely.
Yes.
But fear,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Our faith is stronger than that.
Beautifully put.
And remember, you have the support of the church
Yeah.
and the guidance of your priest.
Right.
Don't be afraid to reach out and seek their wisdom if you have any doubts or concerns.
This has been a fascinating and thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I have a renewed appreciation for the sacramentals in my life.
Yeah.
And a better understanding of how to approach them with both reverence and a discerning mind.
Well, it's been a pleasure diving into this with you.
Likewise.
And to our listeners, I hope you found this exploration helpful and empowering.
Yes.
May your faith be your guide and your rosary a source of peace and strength.
Until next time, stay curious and stay blessed.